Hi there, it's Moira McDonald. I've got a custom order junk journal for you today. It's Scottish in its theme. In terms of size, it will be fairly standard, I have to say, for what I've been doing of late. It's roughly 4.5 by 6 3/4, give or take. It's actually made from an envelope, a manilla envelope that's been covered in tartan fabric. The closure is seam binding, which I've dyed using Dusty Concord. The actual tartan itself is a kind of, tartan is like a magnet to bits of fluff, by the way. It is a sort of purple, grey and black with some white. I've used an image, oh excuse me, a wee lassie looking as if she's going to do a Highland fling, and down the bottom there's a picture of two ladies and a piper. The top picture, the bigger picture, is layered up on music paper with a piece of lace at the back that I've dyed using vintage photo and a bit of burlap. So there's also a kind of metal, I don't know how best to describe it, charm I suppose, embellishment type thing down the bottom here. There is also a Celtic style boho bead on it, wee Celtic charm at the bottom there. Piece of sari fabric that is a kind of checked fabric, and I have used a black braelet bead at the bottom and a kind of purple Aurora Borealis type glass bead at the top there, and as I've said, there's a wee Celtic charm for luck. The cover itself also has some black lace just stitched down the side here, front and back. Right, so right, I'm going to just adjust my angle a wee bit to make sure I get the whole thing in. Right, first page I have just a normal coffee dyed paper. We've got a bit of lace up here and a bit of the same tartan, and there is a wooden butterfly button here as an embellishment. Plenty of room for thinging, journaling. Over the page, a kind of old scrap. Recently, Perio from Perio Blues had sent me some Happy Mail, and among that Happy Mail were some absolutely gorgeous vintage scraps. When she had shown these scraps in her video, she did a whole video from a flea market in Germany. The scraps just really sparked my imagination, and I had bought some scraps myself, which are kind of vintage themed, but they're modern scraps. They're just copies of old vintage designs. They've been used throughout this. The scraps that Perio sent me they were really too beautiful, I'm afraid, to share. They're going to be hoarded for a wee while before I can bring myself to part with them. There was in particular a wee Scottish guy, and you know, just a wee boy in a kilt, and it just, oh, tears to the eyes when I got it, I'm telling you. Right, down here, stamped in a very pale green, I've got the word memories, and up the top there is a thistle that I've stamped. Over the page, just plain page for journaling, some tartan paper. Over here we've got our first tuck spot. Recently, what's her name, Rita Donnelly, had done a video, and I think it was tags that she'd used, and she had put one either side, you know, she'd kind of double cut a tag, a bit like the way oh gosh, I can't remember the other girl's name. Hermelinda, that's it. Hermelinda quite often does double tags, but she just does them as inserts. But it was as if it was a double tag, and what Rita had done was one was on one side of the page as a tuck and one was on the other. So I used the same idea, but I actually cut a wee file folder thing, and then it's cut from a kind of checked tartan-y, styly paper. And I've used the small image from the front. It's just slightly larger of the two lasses and the piper, and another couple of lasses there looking, they're actually sisters, and I think they figure later in the book. Got a bit of lace layered across there, and in the tuck we have just a piece of ephemera with some of the Edith Holden on the back, and a Scottish song, Bonnie Dundee, and I have actually used as a backdrop on this, I've added digitally a picture of Glencoe. Glencoe is where the clan McDonald was murdered by the clan McDonald on the words of the English king. Here's another wee tag. Family is what I've titled this one. It's two wee girls who quite clearly are sisters because they're dressed very similarly. We've got a bit of tartan behind them. It's on a piece of Edith Holden again, and another wee bit of lace round the side there. Here's an old image from Glasgow, which has been layered up on a piece of burlap. Square doily, and this is the picture of the two wee lasses that were dancing in the last picture, printed up on vellum, and I'd actually scanned in a blue tartan and used that as the backdrop for this digital page. One of these die cut pages that I do. Another old scrap in that one. This page has, see this boho bead with a Celtic charm, it keeps rattling every time I move the book, sorry about that. This page I've got a bit of black lace and a little bit of that blue tartan that I had scanned in for the other thing. A page from an old Scottish book, and another tartan here. It's actually very dark in colour and it's very difficult to see what it is, but it was, I'm trying to think, pretty sure it was a dark purple and grey. In fact, it might even have been the cover that I'd used, and this is an old picture of girls from Glasgow. I used this in one of my last Scottish journals. It's vellum again. Another piece of Scottish paper. This one's folded up to make a pocket. I've made a wee tag that's stuck. Hold on a wee second till we get that out. Right, that's us. Wee tag. Just brown card. The bottom I've put a wee banner and it says treasure each day. Used a piece of music paper and some old images that were shrunk down, and one of those kind of acetate pictures that I use in a wee frame that I die cut to make it look like a wee film strip negative. One of these tip-ins with lace, pink lace there. Over the page I stamped a little thistle. Wee picture of a young lassie standing in a back court in Glasgow, probably the 50s or 60s I would say that picture came from. Wee bit of tartan, some vintage buttons. We're going to have a word about vintage buttons at the end of this video, by the way, and a wee piece of lace up the top here. Another wee scrap, round doily. This page here is embossed with thistles. I'm not sure if you're going to see it. Ah, you should be able to see it there. So it's dry embossed with thistles. And over the page, another thistle here. Here we've got a bit of vellum that I did digitally. It is another tartan, and added on one of my pieces of Scottish ephemera with a thistle that was kind of layered over that. Another die cut page here. Another old scrap. Oh, another one. Tartan page. Over here we've got some very small Scottish images That's that one of the girls that we saw on the vellum page. This is actually a very small copy of one of the pages that appears later in the book. Wee piece of tartan paper, an image of Edinburgh, that's Edinburgh Castle there, and another piece of Scottish music, which is the Bluebell of Scotland, and I digitally added some flowers to the back of that. Bit of burlap, the purple tartan from the cover, and a piece of lace that's a kind of applique. Book page for an old Scottish book. Die cut page. Here is an image, a stamped image of Scotland, and a bill in relation to estate duty for someone from Scotland with the thistle added digitally to it. This is the tartan paper I was talking about that was on the other page. Image of Glencoe here, and this is tartan that I'd scanned in. That is actually the centre. Now at this stage there is nothing on the centre tags, but I'm going to be adding quite probably these purple beads that are kind of Aurora Borealis. I'll be adding one of them to each of the strands. 12 Highlanders and a bagpipe make a rebellion on this corner tuck. Another one of my tags where I used an acetate, did a stamping of the thistle and memories, with purple ribbon up the top. And this is a vintage postcard of St Andrews. It's actually dated 1968. It is the original, it's not a copy, for somebody that was in obviously on holiday in Fife and posted this to somebody in Carlisle. So I'll include that. Over the page, some more ephemera there attached to the pocket, and another one of my concertina style tags. Used a variety of different things in the tags and a wee bit lace down the edge there. Die cut page, Scottish book, old scrap, Scotland again. Another tip in here, and it's a dark blue, the same colour as the Scottish flag. Thistle there, another die cut page, vellum with thistles that I added digitally. Here we've got another one of this is an actual tag cut shape that I used this time, and there is a tag with a stamp on it which I've coloured using watercolours, and another piece of ephemera, I think it's another music sheet, Auld Lang Syne, which is sung at New Year. It's actually from a Robert Burns poem, Rabbie Burns. Not Robbie Burns, not Rabbi Burns, but Rabbie Burns. I also digitally added an image of, I think it's orchids or something that's in that one. Over the page we have a little envelope, nothing in that, but you can obviously add something to it. And we've got another acetate tag with an image of a wee lassie on it. That is the other side of the embossed page, and there's a lot of ephemera falling out. Get that in a wee minute. Doily, big Scotland stamps and butterflies around it, and Scottish flag. Same page there for journaling. In this pocket we've got another one of the stamps with thistle, which I've coloured, also coloured in the little bees using watercolours. And this is just a wee kind of card type booklet thing with some random stamping that you can journal on. And thistle on the back. vellum page here, Scottish book, plain page for journaling, thistle, die cut here, and another vellum page there with some images that I've added digitally, square doily, tartan paper. There's the image of the wee lassies ready to dance, and it's from a studio in Aberdeen. Down the bottom there is a stamp of, what do you call it, the thistle again. Got an iris there and a thistle on this page. And on the last page we have a piece of ephemera, music, and just a copy of one of the other pages that's vellum. I have, as always, there's extra ephemera because I can never get it all in the pockets. I did a snippet type tag which you could try and write in the back. I don't imagine it's going to be overly easy, to be fair, because there's quite a lot of sort of perils on this one. Perio had sent me these in the Happy Mail. There was a number of different laces and some beautiful broderie anglaise ribbon. So I've used them in this together with some of the other laces I've had in my stash, and some pearls on I don't know how to describe it, it's a gold type wire. It's a kind of butterfly there with a wee pearl in the middle. Also there is an envelope which I made myself, lace across the bottom and just a variety of images added to the top, together with another wooden butterfly button. Another wee piece of ephemera I made out of, sorry that's a wee bit of material, no, then another wee bit. This is made from just an index card which I tea stained, just some stamping in the background, bit of tartan paper, tartan butterfly, piece of fabric here and some laces, and a couple of vintage buttons. This is from an old magazine, the back page, it's of Culzean Castle, which is in Ayrshire. It's a beautiful, beautiful house. Apparently Eisenhower stayed there at one point, I think just post-war, post-Second World War. It's still a lovely building for going round. It's the National Trust for Scotland that look after it, but it's a lovely day out if you're ever in Scotland and get the chance to go and see it. And another kind of old postcard type thing, this is just a reproduction though, and I think it's Holy Cross Church in the south side of Glasgow, on the corner of Allison Street and Cathcart Road. I would say from the looking at it, it's early 1900s. That's a kind of like trolley car or something, I think, I'm not sure. But there's a horse and cart on that side. There's also a little tag that I made with a napkin that my lovely friend Lisa Owen had given me in Happy Mail some time back, and I've used a wee piece of blue index card in the back so that you can journal on that, and it's just fancy cut top and bottom. So that's the book. Hopefully the lady for whom this book's been made, oh there's incidentally lace at the back there, I think you can see that okay, and there's the back of the book, which you know, need to run over that to get all the wee bits of fibres off it. Hopefully the lady that was asking for the book will be quite happy with it. If she's not, it will be up for sale in my Etsy and I'll start again, trying to do another one. So that's us. I hope you like this, and as I've said, it's hopefully already spoken for. Something else I'd wanted to bring up, Lisa Owen had mentioned that she got some vintage buttons. She did a whole video of vintage buttons recently, and I just wanted to show you some of mine. Right, I'm not going to bother taking them out because it'll take me all my time to get them back. I bought these. I put a bid in auction, and at the time that I did it, I'd completely forgotten, put in another bid for other buttons and got these. There's some interesting ones on these. That looks like a big coat button. That as well. They're obviously some sort of seashell or something. Really quite interesting. But I obviously, if I'd realised I'd put a bid in for something else, I wouldn't have bought these. It's still got the material where it's been cut for somebody's coat. Right, so that showed up. Then I got, wait a minute, I didn't get a bit of paper. I got these. I ordered these all on one night, and I'd had a glass of wine. That's my excuse. And I didn't realise I had ordered quite so many buttons. So it's got a wee Eiffel Tower on it. I hope you can see it, but it's meant to be a wee clock. So we've got a lot of them. We also got these, which are wooden with little floral images on them. Very attractive. Very attractive, but I didn't need quite so many. And then of course the other day these showed up, which is the little butterfly ones. So I think I can safely say I have more than enough buttons to be getting on with. That's not counting, of course, the buttons I'd already ordered a while back because I've planned on decoupaging them, but haven't quite got around to it because I've got so many other things on the go just now. But that's the way it goes. So anyway, that's, oh, there's another wee floral one. I mean, they are really nice, don't get me wrong. The problem is I've got millions of them. I'm not going to drink and go on eBay again, that's for sure. I'd only had about 3 glasses of wine, but obviously it was enough to forget what I'd done, and I just kept bidding on buttons. So, plenty of buttons in my house. That's my journal, that's my buttons. Hope you like both, and if you've got any comments, please by all means leave them, and I shall see you again soonish. Right, thanks very much folks, bye.